Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Market Talk. We're delighted to be joined today by Ross Pike, Chef Director of Oakman Inns, and Richard Norman, National Sales Manager at Jestic Foodservice Solutions. Good to see you both. Thank you for being with us.
And you, how you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Obviously well used to lockdown now. But obviously as we get towards July, it's now, there's a clear path in sight, particularly for the hospitality industry, which is obviously great news. And that's obviously, I think, a good note to kick off on. How are things with you, Ross? What are you working on at the moment as you prepare for that reopening?
So I've been out furlough for 2 weeks now. So the last 2 weeks we've been doing all the exciting stuff like risk assessments and stuff like that. So just looking at time and motion in kitchens, looking at our menus, just basically trying to walk through every single step like it's a new business. And I think that's how we need to look at it. It's not your old business anymore. It's a new operation, and we've got to make the best of what we've got. So hopefully we've got that. We're going to be opening about 90% of our business in the next couple of weeks, and then see where we go from there. So.
Well, that's quite a big mindset change to come back to. How have you coped with that?
Yeah, I mean, we had plenty of time off to chill and relax. I've been doing a little bit of work for the NHS actually while we've been off, which has been quite useful for coming back to see how they're looking at their kitchens, how to work with a lot of chefs in a big space. So that's been really useful. So yeah, it was good coming back and trying to see what's still there. Coming back to some kitchens that don't look that great, and they haven't been used for a long time. But it's amazing how dirty things get with just sitting dormant for a couple of months. So there's a lot of cleaning happening in the next couple of days. So.
Likewise, Richard, how have Jestic got through the lockdown, and are you ramping operations back up again now?
We are. It's been quite difficult. Obviously, since the end of March, more or less everybody got furloughed at the beginning of April. We kept a skeleton team on with the accounts, service, sales, and the main directors and owners were obviously working away behind the scenes. I myself came back 6 weeks ago, doing all the sales. We've had lots of good inquiries, lots of business. Service levels have gone up, and some of the key accounts have started to open again. And we're seeing good trade, lots and lots of inquiries. It's just actually selling the bits is proving a bit more difficult at the moment.
Yeah, so I mean, you work with customers across a wide range of sectors. So are there any key trends you've seen as businesses hopefully prepare to open again?
We've seen a lot of interest. Obviously, the high street brands are also starting to operate again now on dark kitchens, much like you, Ross.
Yeah.
It's the ones that are operating are doing really, really well. Some of the key brands that we've seen as well, they can be up to sort of 170% of what they were doing before lockdown, because everybody still wants to eat out. So it's very promising.
And Richard, have you seen are you seeing a change in terms of, or a change in expectation in terms of what operators may want from you as a supplier going forward?
Yeah, it's something that we've been looking at quite carefully recently. COVID compliancy, decent service backup, aftercare, come up with solutions for them for hygiene and that kind of thing. It's very different.
Yeah, sure, okay. Ross, just coming back to you. Several weeks ago, this may have been when you're on furlough, but Oakman sort of presented what a pub might look like, in the kind of post-COVID era, in terms of layout and kitchen operations and so on, and you took a number of news channels, I think, around to kind of experience that. Were you involved in that at all, and what kind of lessons have you drawn from that?
Yeah, I was there for that day. I was one of the pretend customers in the pub. So yeah, obviously we looked at all our screening in the actual restaurant itself for the customers, then how to lay out the floor of the kitchen. So just putting markers, constantly reminding the chefs in the kitchen and the kitchen porters where they can be and where they can't be, pinch points in the kitchen. So yeah, it's like I've got my head around it now, but I've been doing it for 2 weeks, so we're just starting to unfurlough some chefs. Like my phone hasn't stopped this morning, so we've had quite a few come back today. And it's going to take them now that week, 10 days to sort of get used to their new environment. We've been doing Zoom meetings like for the last couple of weeks with the head chefs just to try and get them mentally ready to go back. And obviously just for what they're going to expect, because we have turned literally some kitchens upside down. So where they used to have 4 passes, we've now reduced it down to 1. So there's only 1 central pickup point in the kitchen. There's going to be a lot of sort of system changes they need to get used to. And not one of our pubs is the same, so we had to go into every pub and obviously go through the whole motion again. But yeah, we believe we're going to be able to operate as safely as possible, one for our staff and for our customers, which is really important. It's just now putting the customers in place and let's see what unfolds really. So.
Yeah, interesting. In terms of the kitchen layout then, how did you manage to define how you needed to redo it? And do you think you will be getting big kitchen refits in order to fit with a COVID safe compliance?
We've already got quite large kitchens for sort of the casual dining sector. We've got quite large kitchens anyway. We're quite lucky with that. I've got a big part to play in designing a lot of the kitchens, so we are quite generous with our kitchens. We're not in sort of city locations where size costs a lot of money, so we're a bit sort of further out, so we can afford to have a bigger kitchen. But yeah, it's a hard one. Obviously, we started with looking at the menu to start with. We're going to be going to A3 menus that's going to be put down in front of a customer when they sit down. Once that customer's used it, that menu is going to be thrown away. So just coming down from a sort of a book menu, which we normally have, we're going to be going to this A3 menu. That's already cut my menu by 40%. So I can't fit everything on an A3 piece of paper. So then once I knew the size of the menu, I then basically took that into the kitchen and done a time and motion on every dish. So where there'd be dishes where it'd be crossover from one person grilling it to the next person cooking it. We've now done it that each section basically does each dish from start to finish. So we have taken a couple of the sort of favourites off, but we've obviously tried to keep as many favourites on the menu as possible, but there are some dishes that have had to come off for the time being. And like everyone in the company's, oh, you can't take that off, you can't take that off. Like people are really looking forward to coming back to pubs. But I think people are going to be happy just coming back into a pub and having a beer and food to start with, and then obviously we can then start adding more and more dishes once the staff feel comfortable, more customers are coming in, and then things slowly get back to normal, whatever that is going forward.
The new normal, yes.
Yeah.
And Richard, in terms of Jestic, I know that you guys have kind of recently launched or introduced quite a few new products in your portfolio. How many of those do you think will be useful when it comes to all of these operators trying to make sure that everything's COVID safe in their kitchens?
I think we've taken on 2 or 3 new brands now that may help. We've brought on, there's a line by Venix Lifestyle, which is all to do with hand sanitisation, with options of having boards on there for guidance, foot pedals for the actual sanitizer dispense, waste paper bins, wipe systems, that kind of thing. We've got Metro Prep Mate, which is a workstation, which is a mobile station that you can configure however you want that to work in different sizes. It's mobile, so you could utilise that maybe in the customer service area before the shift starts, before you start cooking, and they can be moved around and make it a bit more flexible for everyone. And the one that we're most excited about is the Moduline Pure Air system, which is a hydrogen peroxide machine, which you place into the room for service starts, or you could use it in a hotel environment in a room, and you effectively sanitises the room using hydrogen peroxide, which is about 15 minutes. And things are all the terms, so that's something that we're working on, very positive.
It sounds, Richard, as well, by some of the nature of those solutions, flexibility is going to play a big part in kitchens moving forward. Do you think the expansion of your portfolio reflects that?
It does, and we've tried to look at that, and obviously the manufacturers we work with are looking at how they can help to get the industry back up and running. So we've got a lot more to come as we progress into this, and there's more restaurants open.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And Ross, just switching the conversation back to you, it was interesting to hear how you talked about sort of reformatting the kitchens now moving forward. Firstly, are you expecting to have fewer chefs working in the kitchens? And secondly, what's your stance on the sort of 1 metre versus 2 metre rule at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously really pushing for the 1 metre rule. Peter, our CEO's really been pushing for that. That's really going to help. I mean, that's the difference between 30% more customers being in your establishment and not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a hard one. Like we're trying to do whatever rules we've been given. You've got to read through the sort of small print a little bit, and there's still a lot that's very unclear of what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. So yeah, it's we're doing the best we can.
Have you been given any government guidance yet as to what's allowed or what's not allowed, Ross?
Yeah, we've been given a little bit. I think there's still going to be some more coming. When they do finally give the green light for sort of customers inside on for the 4th of July, that's what we're working towards at the moment. I think there's going to have to be a big chunky document coming our way. We're working with all the information we've been given so far on social distancing and do's and don'ts, but I think there's still got to be some more meat on the bones, as it were, because I think there's still a lot of things that are a bit undecided, and every operator I've been speaking to, doing other Zoom meetings, is people are making up their own answers, and I think that's dangerous. I think we need a clear, like, this is what you need to do. It's been quite interesting listening to some people's solutions and what they've been coming up with, but yes, I think it needs to be a lot clearer. Yeah,
I mean, in terms of those solutions, what kind of innovation has Oakman put into action?
I mean, the screening was the sort of the biggest one in the restaurant. We've got our in-house designer, Malcolm, who's been working on all our CAD drawings of the restaurants. So literally, as we've been going around, we've been using his CAD drawing for in the kitchens, 2 metre spacing, and in the front of house. And then as we've been going around, we've been working out, okay, if it drops to 1.5 metres or it drops to 1, what furniture can come back in, what kitchen equipment can come back in. So we've basically got a list of, if it drops to 1.5, okay, these bits of kit can come back in. If it drops to 1, this is what can come back in. So we've got a full list of every pub and what can happen if things change. We've taken a lot of equipment out and a lot of furniture out. Luckily, we've had 4 pubs in development, and they're now big storage facilities for us. So where we're not developing our new premises, they're now our storage units. So otherwise, we spend a lot of money on storage. So yeah, we haven't had massive innovations with anything, but yeah, we've done what we can do. So,
Richard, Ross was saying at the beginning the challenge of bringing kitchens back out of storage almost, after several months of not being operational. You've obviously got a fairly big service team here in the UK. Are you assisting operators with that particular challenge?
We are. It's quite interesting. We're now back up to about 40% of the service calls that we were experiencing before the crisis. About 40% of the service team can build spread across the UK as a whole. The advice that we kind of give to people is, obviously, it's very important that we've got our COVID secure policy in place when we're visiting those sites. And demothballing is a big issue. We're seeing it particularly with the fryers within all the estates. And I know, Ross, you've got several of our fryers. It's making sure that they're all good to go. Because what we found with other people is they've kind of rolled out, right, we're opening tomorrow. You need to be testing all that equipment. And what we'd ask our customers going forward and advise them is that it's tested 3 or 4 days before. It gives us a time respond as well as as your partner and your agent, to be able to go in there, respond to it, get the engineers there, get the kit up and running. But I think it's test driving the kitchen and the equipment to make sure it's all good after being there for 3 months is the most important bit.
Yeah, I mean, with the reopening of equipment, like, we've found some quite unusual things. We've put a reopening guide together, and just simply turning on the water in our establishments. Obviously, we've got to go through full Legionella testing of all our water systems, because the water's been sitting still for such a long time. But even just turning taps on, because there's been no water running through any taps, we've got floods everywhere going on, and stuff like that. So I think there's going to be a lot of issues happen on day 1 and day 2. We've had birds nesting in ventilation systems and stuff like that. So we've got all of these strange things that will come out of the woodwork. But yeah, again, every pub's going to have something go wrong, and we've just got to be there to help them get through it. So
yeah, Ross, some of those equipment changes that you described, such as four passes down to 1. Dealing with maybe moving the equipment around slightly. Do you look at these as temporary changes, or is this going to be what your kitchen looks like for the long term?
Well, until the social distancing changes, that's what it'll stay like. When it's reduced, we've done sort of plans again. If it drops down to 1.5 or 1 metre of what can come back in and what has to stay out. But yeah, until any of that social distancing changing, what they're going to go live with. So we've got 7 pubs going click and collect this week, another 7 the following week, and then the 4th of July. It's about 95% of our business would be back operational if the government gives us a green light. And then obviously once social distancing changes, then we'll go back on a pub-to-pub basis and see what we can bring back in. So.
Okay.
And Ross, have you been leaning on the catering equipment supply chain to help you in these endeavours? So any catering equipment distributors or suppliers like Jestic and the like?
Not yet. I'll be giving you a call soon, Rich. No, not yet. I mean, we've tried to do it with obviously not trying to spend too much money, because there's not money coming in the other end at the moment. So we've tried to just look at what we can do with what we've got. And like it's been an interesting time, because obviously everyone's got different ideas and just bringing that to the table. But yeah, we're trying to do it without spending money at the moment. But I mean, the screens that we're putting in the restaurants, that's costing us a lot of money, but that's critical to the social distancing for the front of house and for the customers. And then we've done what we can do in a kitchen, but we can't be putting plastic screens up everywhere where there's flames and stuff like that. So yeah, we've done what we can do in the kitchen. So.
Yeah. Richard, likewise for Jestic, how have you been interacting with catering equipment dealers, and have you seen any kind of demand for them? Are they keeping in touch with you?
Yeah, we're finding that we're talking an awful lot to a lot of the hygiene. There's a bit of interference here, isn't there? The hygiene specialists within the catering dealers. They're doing a lot of sort of PPE and hand wash stations and things like that. As Ross said, it's money where you need to spend it. So to get back open again, it's not necessarily capital equipment. We've seen a lot of tendency of people, particularly sort of grey sites and things like that, to do dark kitchens, so they can pick up on all the takeaway and the delivery meals. Within the dealer network, I've spoken to a great deal of them over the last 6 weeks. Most of them are up and trading. It's interesting that with the consultants and the dealer network as well, a lot of the sites, particularly in London, that have been mothballed for 8-10 weeks, they're all back and open and going now. So there's positivity out there. We just got to hope it keeps carrying on.
Yeah, certainly. And just to both of you, really, a sort of question to end on, I guess. Richard, maybe start with you. In terms of your hopes for the hospitality sector moving forward, is there any one change you would like to see, or any one wish that you would have for the industry to be able to move forward in as healthy position as possible?
I think it's to keep the infection rate low, to be able to trade as quickly and safely as possible, to as Ross highlighted there, to minimise that gap to 1 metre instead of 2 metres and social distancing. and hope that we can sort of get some trade out of the summer.
Yeah, and you, Ross?
Yeah, I mean, follow on from what Richard said, is obviously keeping everyone as safe as possible. But I think what will come out of this is the really strong traders in hospitality will survive, and I think there'll be some good initiatives and like looking at suppliers about where we get ingredients from. We're not bringing them from all over the world going forward. Is we start looking at what we can grow more in the UK, using our suppliers better in the UK instead of just going to the easy option of going to Europe. Like we buy quite a bit of our produce from Italy because we're a Mediterranean-based menu. And just the difficulties they're having, some of our ingredients have gone up by 25-30% because of transportation, all the extra PPE that's got to be added into that sort of flow of food now. So I think every big company will start looking at where their ingredients and products are coming from going forward. And I think that's only a good thing for this country. So.
Actually, one thing we haven't touched on, you mentioned PPE there. All your chefs will be wearing visors and gloves and so on. Is that the plan?
Yeah, visors and gloves in the kitchen. And then the front of house teams will be wearing masks to start with, and unless another rule comes out that we don't know about yet. So yeah, we're giving everyone all the PPE they require. They've got a 2-day working program before they come back to work for their personal well-being. So they've got personal risk assessments, health and safety questionnaires, and then every time a staff member comes into site, there'll be temperature probed as well, and that will be recorded. So we're basically just going to keep track of as much as we can to keep everyone as safe as possible. So
yeah, okay, well, I'm sure you did enjoy the furlough break, because it sounds like you're going to have a very busy time in the coming weeks. So
yeah, it will be. Yeah,
good luck. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you as well, Richard. Great to hear what's happening on the Jestic side, and obviously
Thanks,
wish you both well moving forward. Thanks for joining us on Market Talk.